Hello, everyone. In this video, I am providing some clarification for you about our hypothesis annotation assignments for weeks 5 and 7. I felt that it would be best to provide some clarity for everyone in the class so that we're all on the same page and all doing the same things. Now, I will tell you that it is not because you're doing a bad job. This is a new kind of assignment in this class, and so it's been a bit of a learning experience for me as well. So I just wanted to provide some clarity and changes midstream that might help us all a little bit. So first, I want to talk to you about three things, three or four things. They're kind of administrative mostly. About the mechanics of your annotation posts, how you should make those annotation posts so that they're easier for grading purposes. But then also I want to talk to you a little bit about the substance of your posts in terms of content, length or amount, word counts, but also breadth of annotations. So here we go. When you are posting your annotations, post each of the annotations separately. Do not combine multiple annotations into one post because hypothesis only counts that as one annotation. And so when I'm grading, I can easily see how many annotations hypothesis says you have, and that's the number I'm going to use. Don't make one post that says, I have 3 annotations here, and then put 1, comments, 2 comments, 3. Don't do that. Don't put 2 or 3 annotations together in one post because you only get credit for one post. In the past, I've been diligent to count them separately and go through, but in weeks 5 and 7, I'm going by whatever hypothesis says you have. So those need to be separate. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'm just going to show you. So here in hypothesis, when you pull down this menu, you can see at a glance how many annotations that particular student has contributed. And it says showing 10 annotations, right? So if I select that, it tells me how many annotations by each person that there are. And so it's very easy for me to see if you've met the standard minimum 10 post annotations. Now, that is the number I'm going to use going forward. So what I'm saying is do not put, I have 3 annotations, 1, 2, 3, all in the same post, because hypothesis counts the number of distinct annotations that you have. And you'll notice that you get credit for posts that you make, but also for replies that you make to other people's posts. So you can do an original thread, or you can do a reply to an existing thread, and those both count. But what you should not do is combine, 1, 2, 3 different, multiple annotations within one block here, okay? Because you'll only get credit for one. And going forward for weeks 5 and 7, I'm only counting whatever hypothesis says up here. So your grade will suffer if you don't have at least 10 separate blocks, original threads or replies. Okay. The other thing that I want to say is you should indicate the type of annotation in your post. It should be the first thing that you do so that I know very clearly what type of annotation you are claiming that you are making. Here's a great example. Notice that Alexis here started her post by saying, this annotation is one in which I'm going to analyze the unique contribution the book makes to overall canon of Scripture and to New Testament theology. She said, hey, Prof, this post is supposed to be an annotation for this type. Same thing down here. She said, this is an observation. Same thing here. She said, hey, I'm asking a pertinent question, right? She put for me headers at the beginning of her post that indicated to me what type of annotation she believed she was making. I want you to do that in weeks 5 and 7 for these assignments. It doesn't have to be bold. That's just nice because it's really easy to see. It draws my eye. But as long as you indicate to me in some way that this is the type of annotation I'm making, that will really be helpful to me. Otherwise, it's just up to me to try to discern what type of annotation post that I think it is. And I will just tell you, that's kind of hard sometimes. And it's a little subjective. And I would really rather you tell me what type of post that you believe that you are making. And then I can judge it accordingly, right? And grade it accordingly. So please put a heading for each of your annotation posts that tell me what type of annotation it is that you believe you are making. Okay, so make sure you post your annotations separately. At least 10 of them need to be separate so that I get the right count at the top. Indicate the type of annotation that you're making. And then just a reminder to always follow APA style. And if you're going to use a source, you need to cite it and you need to follow APA style when you do. It also matters that you do a spell check or a proofread on your posts. I know this isn't the same feeling as a formal paper, but it's still a formal academic assignment in an academic setting. And so we need to be careful about spelling and typos and style and grammar and those sorts of things. Let me lay out for you some expectations that I have in terms of word count. The total word count of all of your annotations, not counting the headers that you make, right? Hey, Alan, this is an observation. That doesn't, I'm going to take that out. That doesn't count. That's not substantive content. But your content, the content of your annotations, all of them in sum total should be roughly the equivalent of a weekly standard paper. In other words, 700 to 1,000 words. If you're not meeting that, I'm going to take some points away because you're not contributing enough in terms of substantive content for the week. And I will just tell you, if the sum total of your annotation content is fewer than 500 words, you're not going to do well on these assignments. You need to be contributing a substantive amount of work each week on these annotations. In other words, if you have 10 annotation posts minimum, right? If you need to make 10 posts, that means that on average, your annotation posts should be 70 to 100 words in length. Now, obviously, if you're posting a question and it's only 32 words long, that's fine. You can just make up for it in another post that's maybe a little bit longer. If you're doing an advanced annotation, it's probably going to take you more words to say everything you need to say. But on average, I'm looking for annotation posts that are 70 to 100 words in length. When you add up all those up, you're going to get 700 to 1,000 words of content. I also want to talk to you about my expectations for the breadth of your annotation content. The spirit of this assignment, of these assignments, is that you're going to read the entirety of the New Testament text that you're assigned for that week, right? You're supposed to read the whole thing. You're supposed to interact with the whole thing, right? Your annotation should not come from merely the first chapter or two, right? The idea of this assignment is not, can they just check the box and get 10 to 10 annotations? That's not it. That's the letter of the law. We are not under the law. We are under grace, right? We live by the spirit of the law. So the spirit of the law here is that the spirit of the assignment is that you will make annotations throughout the content of the New Testament book or books that you're annotating, right? That you're supposed to be annotating. Don't just do the first few chapters, get to 10 and call it good, right? I really want to see that you're interacting with the entirety of the biblical text for the week, right? Now, will I take points off if you have 10 really stellar, substantive, content contributing posts within the first two chapters? No. But I will just tell you, in my experience, if you're only interacting with the first chapter or two, you're not really doing very well in terms of the substantive content that you're contributing. You're just not. So chances are you're gonna not do as well if you're not really interacting with the body, the whole corpus of the text for the week. So please do that. Because I don't want this video to be any longer, I am going to refrain from going into a definition or communicating expectations about each type of annotation. There are 4 types of basic annotations and there are 4 types of advanced annotations. I would just advise you really want to read those definitions. Read the document that I have provided in this post and linked for you as to my expectations on what those annotations are to entail, okay? Because I will grade you on that basis. Now, for the secret word for the week. The secret word for this week is kerygma. If you were to transliterate that Greek word into English, it would be spelled Kerygma. 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 It refers to the kernel of the gospel that Paul conveyed, the kernel or the essence of Paul's message that he preached and proclaimed to his churches, to his Gentile converts. I think Harris talks about it in the textbook. You could look it up, kerygma, to get a definition, a fuller definition of that. You don't even have to tell me the definition. Just email me the secret word this week, kerygma. It is that which is proclaimed, keruso, to proclaim or to herald. So kerygma is the content of what is proclaimed. And for Paul, that had a kind of very specific meaning. For I delivered to you as of first importance what I also received, right? The gospel that was preached to you. So anyway, that is the secret word for the week, kerygma. With that, please let me know if I can be of any help to you. If you have any questions about the assignments or my expectations, I'll be happy to provide that. But otherwise, the Lord bless you as you do this work.